Joyful Danish. Stay human. Is it even still possible to stay human? Maybe. It's not too late. Aloha. How are you doing, guys? Welcome to the show. And I'm your host, Daniel, aka Joyful Danish. I'm a crypto therapist. And I work with Web3, trying to improve the health in that space. How do we stay human? You know, with all this technology, it's crazy. Yeah, today we're going to dive deep into a scary but common experience, unfortunately, in Web3, rugpulls. Hello, everybody. Yes. Now we should look at, face what's there without any filters and trying to avoid anything. Because even though it's unpleasant, it is something that's kind of necessary to know a little bit about. Know your enemies, you know. So, how to survive a rug pull and how to avoid future rug pulls. That's the topic and the intention for today. Because, have you ever tried that? You build conviction, you invested, you join a community, maybe even onboarded your friends, and then it disappeared. Everything. And Discord shuts down. The developers who built the so-called project, the tokens, the coins you bought, dumped, the price tanked, and what you have left is holding the psychological and financial pieces that were left. And you may be just kind of looking like, well, might as well just burn the computer. Yeah. It's not easy. Where did your money go, right? They were there, but suddenly not. It's crazy. But you hopefully it becomes a little bit more empowered today, because know your enemies, you know. Today we're going to explore how to emotionally survive a rug pull and how to protect yourself in the future using Crypto Stranger's verification checklist from the Crypto People's Health Playbook by crypto therapist Daniel Lemoire, aka Joyful Danish. Welcome to the show, and thank you for tuning in. So, it is crazy. After a rug, you might feel shame. How could I fall for that? Rage. These scammers stole from me. And most likely they're going to get away with it. Even though we are going to actually, in a little bit later in this episode, take a look at some of the bigger scams that has happened and what actually ended up happening has consequence for these different founders. So, one last thing I'll also add, like you maybe also feel numbness. I'll never trust anyone or any project again. To some degree, that is kind of a good thing, because you should kind of be a little bit paranoid, security-wise, and verify. You know, don't just blindly trust no one, because again, it's your money, it's your decision, you should be in charge. So this is also what this episode is about. How can you be more in charge? How can you actually not get played by these different scammers' manipulation tactics? One survivor, one of my clients, told me it wasn't even the money, it was how stupid I felt. And that's the silent cost of Web3 betrayal. Your self-trust gets attacked. And it's crazy, you know, because you're kind of like one-man army, literally. It's you're on your own, right? And you have to figure it out. And it reminds me of, you know, the saying, there was this meme, whatever doesn't kill you disappoints me, you know? And it's like a play on words on the aspect of like you can kind of only expect that most things that happens in crypto and Web3, it's so new and it's so volatile in so many ways. Also security-wise, for the most things that you'll find. So it can be kind of hard to actually be optimistic and happy and joyful and so on. And to some extent, I get it, you know, because there's so many enemies. Most of them are invisible. And often it happens so fast that you don't even recognize that it happened. Anyway, we're going to give you some tools today to play around, to see what can you maybe be aware of in the future. But first of all, how do you get through? Because how can you ever rebuild any trust in yourself, you know? Now I fell for it and I lost so much money and so on. Some of the questions that you maybe could ask yourself, like, what was my intention with that investment? Why did I FOMO into that project? Did I really do any research before I actually put any money in? Did I just trust anyone's judgment except mine? Because that's the thing, you can combine it, you know, you don't have to like totally disregard your own thoughts and your own experience and gut feeling and so on because someone else sounds confident. You can take it as a motivation for like, all right, I need to dive into what you are presenting and verify what you're saying and check up on, is it really like that? And then, you know, in that way, you will keep in charge. And that's how it should be always. And frame the event as information, not condemnation. Every decision teaches us something, even when it hurts. Sometimes I still remember things that happened 3, 4, 5 years ago, mistakes that I did then, revisit them sometimes as a memory and reminder of, right, I need to be aware that that doesn't happen again. Cannot afford for doing those kind of mistakes again. And that's how you also can use this, even though it takes some time to digest and get over the initial pain that it has created and the betrayal and so on. But then it's also time to eventually, at some point when you're ready, start to look into like what actually happened. That's also why I made, well, before we go into that checklist, like an overview of like crypto stranger verification checklist. I'll just share a brief description of real life examples of messages, because one thing is like people can contact you on Discord, on Telegram, hey buddy, and sound like, hey, we're friends and I just want to learn you better. That's secretly often because they want some information, sensitive information out of you and build trust, and then they will try to eventually pitch their scam or something like that. But sometimes they're even more lazy. They just write this example here, for example, from Twitter, where they give literally the accounts and password and balance. In this case is 2,183,217 USDT, and then a website that you should never click on. But if you do, apparently they have been coming after me recently and I'm in serious trouble. I have to leave for a while to keep us safe. I have converted all of our money into cryptocurrency and stored it in this account. Please protect it carefully and take good care of our child. So apparently I even become a father too in this message. I'm a millionaire and a father in 10 seconds. That was fast. You mean everything to me. I love you more than words can say. Well, except those words that you just wrote. Please wish me luck. Yeah. So those are things that you simply just should delete. I simply just save this as an example. Another example that I also got a message from an unknown person on Twitter with no followers. The latest cloud mining projects can earn 4 to 20% of income every day. You don't have to worry about the market situation. You can earn USDT. Well, they're both like a USDT. Every day with just a mobile phone. You can get more rewards by inviting friends, official Telegram, blah, 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 blah. Then there's a link to that Telegram. So that's the thing. How do you actually starting to become more aware of what is some of these buttons that these different scammers are trying to push, and unfortunately often actually get some kind of success with? Because that's the thing. There's so much traps, so many things that it's too good to be true. So if we look at some of the examples that I have in this Crypto Stranger verification checklist, what can you say, key questions that you actually will need to ask if you do want to interact with a stranger that you never talked with before? Because usually, why should they, what's the point? It's usually always to pump their bags, not yours. So some of the key questions to ask is, for example, when did you start at this? Can you explain it simply? Is this guaranteed? Why are you messaging me? Why the rush? Mind if I ask more? Usually they actually have quite high temper. Scammers don't really have much human skills in that regard. But that's also because their most expensive currency and most valuable currency in this game they're trying to play is urgency. They don't want you to think. They don't want you to actually stop up and actually just for a moment slowly find out what is this about. Why are you asking that? Why do you need my seed phrase? What is this link or file? Any hidden cost or gas fee? And what do others say about this project that you say that is so amazing? Because that's the thing, right? Red flags is, for example, that often it's a new account, untraceable project origin, and they will try to belittle you. You wouldn't get it, confusion by design, and zero risk, all upside. That's what they're at least telling you. Inside opportunity, but you have to do it fast, All the whales are already bought in. Time is running out. And the messages are often like generic, hey friend, which is only my pizza guy that usually say that, That's usually often not a scam. And don't worry about it. Trust me, bro. Starts asking about family, relationship, finances. It gets personally really fast, and that should be a big emotional clue right there, an alarm bell, Request seed phrases, recovery info, faking that they need help, and that you can claim airdrop. Unfamiliar link, shortener links, exe files, NFT airdrops, zip files, which usually are Trojan horse, and then they can spy on your computer and so on. It's crazy. I even had an example where a guy was supposed to have a Zoom meeting, but then that link were to download a different kind of like a Zoom app, but it was a fake one, and then that was literally to just spy on them on their computer, and it was like a program he needed to install, and then that was like a Trojan horse, an entrance for them to look into his computer. So crazy stuff, guys. And then stuff like, just send first this money, and then we will refund the gas. And they're usually vague about networking cost, because that's the other thing. You'll usually be able to see in your wallet, in your MetaMask, for example, are you giving limited permissions, like suggestions, or is it unlimited permissions? That you should always be very, very cautious about. Because if it's unlimited permission, that means that they can basically empty your wallet. And again, if you haven't done your research, you don't really know anything about that project. Yeah, very dangerous. And they usually have deleted any negative feedback in the Telegram groups. You're not really allowed to ask any questions. All reviews seems fake or new, because they are. And to a more physical approach, emotional approach, some of the clues should be: the answers are vague, the story keeps changing, you're feeling dumb, not smart, because they try to belittle you. It's too good to be true feeling, and you feel like you get intruded on, and it's suspicious, and you feel hurried and panicked, and you're getting defensive and guilt-trippy replies, and you feel like it's getting too personal too fast, and you feel uncertain. What's the catch? And you only see praise to this project, no criticism. And again, it's not allowed to really show any criticism. So, some of the more, safe action step that you can take is like Google their name and project plus their potential scam in Google search. Ask in a safe group or server. Look for disclaimers on the site or white paper. Even put that in AI maybe to actually check if it's simply AI generated, the white paper, because often they're copy paste from other white papers and then simply adjusted slightly. Ask other group member if they had the same DM. Wait 48 hours and see if the offer changes. Share conversation screenshots with trusted contacts. Set boundaries clearly, or simply block and report the person. Never ever share any private keys. Ever. It's your only way to recreate your wallets. And if you give that away, again, you lost your power. You lost your control. You're not in control anymore. So nobody, no matter who it is, it should only be you who has those seed phrases. Always search links, never download or click on anything. And do your own research first and use a testnet or simulation first if you have to try anything out. And search on Reddit, X or Telegram in the history to dive more into like, what is this actually about? And more green flag when it comes to like what you can do and what you should look for more safely, that will be that the founder has many years and is public audited the project, so somebody else has actually been testing this project that they're pitching, and there's like a step-by-step tutorial available, and they maybe even say that it is having volatility and there's no guarantee of return and so on, and maybe it's a person that you actually met in real life. That's can also be a supportive thing, but again, not necessarily a safe thing. It's a combination of all these things I'm just saying now. There's no pressure, They will say, just take your time, do your research, ask me anything, I'm here to help. And they encourage second opinions, and they welcome doubt that you may be having. And they keep the topics on only crypto talk and respect privacy and the boundaries that you set. So they avoid personal stuff. And they refer you to official platforms or documents, and they encourage you to use Ledger or Treasure, and don't share any seed phrase. And they have work that they can refer to on github.com, and they can give an estimate of gas, where you can check gas and only ask for suggested transaction, not unlimited permissions. And there's Reddit threads and Discord feedback as well. And they use analogies to educate, never belittles, and they clearly outlines risk and use disclaimers, and they share context, group, topic, referral, and so on. And they maybe even have an open timeline, exactly to educate and build trust, what they're going to be building and what have they built and so on. And they encourage you to actually dive into this in your pace. So that's super important, And so in that way, you can test, like asking, can you link to your first post or GitHub work you have? Can you explain this like I'm new to crypto? Can I lose everything if this fails? Where did you see me first? Will this offer change if I wait 2 days? Can I talk this over with someone I trust first? Let's stick to the project for now. Again, if it gets too personally. Can I verify this with MetaMask directly? Is this open source or verified by anyone? Is there a simulator or testnet with this project? And where can I read feedback that isn't curated? So, those are some of the things that can be useful to be aware of. So always take a pause if you feel like that you're not really in control and you're unsure. That's usually a good sign that this is something that you should be careful about. This is potentially a risk, a scam. So, and in that way you will be able to avoid so many future rug pulls. Even though it can be crazy, because if we say in a summary, take your time to recover from the losses, evaluate what signs you did notice but end up not acting on because you're not aware of them, and start to write them down, because then that experience and that lesson will be future value for you to avoid from this happening again. Take things slowly and at your pace, and you shall be in charge of what's going on. Always don't let FOMO get to you and the scammers' manipulation tactics, and verify any person that want to pitch something to you, and even better, ignore them, because pretty much anyone who contacted you that you don't know, only know a little about, is most likely out to pump their own bags and not yours. And lastly, you are not the only one. You're not alone. I've had crypto clients as a crypto therapist, of course, makes sense. Heard enough stories about people who end up failing for scams plenty of times to know that this can happen for the best people out there. Scams can be pretty organized and big. If we just look at, for example, Celsius, you can look that up. The Celsius network, founded by Alexander Mashinsky. he ended up in May 2025 get 12 years in jail. And Sam Bankman, he made FTX. He got 25 years in jail, convicted for fraud and related crimes, and sentenced in March 2024. So some of them do get caught, and some of them do get pretty big. I think actually FTX had like around, at its top, it was like, was it like 20 to 30 billions? It was something like that. It was a lot. So a lot of money actually got lost there in that scam. So that's why, even though when it's actually regulated, that was the case with FTX. It was supposed to actually be in the SEC's reach and following everything. But yeah, that's the thing. Even when it's centralized, because that's a key thing actually. I think I will end with this as well. Centralized exchanges, every time that you add a middleman between you and your crypto, you adding a counterparty risk. That was the case with both Celsius and FTX. Whatever you actually want to buy, it's more ideally to simply have it in your custody, have it in your wallet. Because actually, if you go to, for example, like any exchange, they will say in the user agreements that if everything goes wrong, the company is in financial struggles, you agree in the user agreement text, which nobody reads, but I did. And again, otherwise you can just put it everything in ChatGPT and then get a summary of it if it's too many pages to read. But in there, it will actually say that you accept that they will be able to use your funds if they're about to tank. If they're about to go down, they can use your funds to try to save themselves. And if they fail, they try to use your money to save themselves, but still tanks. So now they lost your money and their own money. They're not obligated to pay you back. What? Yes, you accept that actually. So that's why I usually say to people, use exchanges as a toilet. You only go in and then you go out. So buy what you want and send it to your wallet, your own wallet, which you have custody over. So if anything happens, you at least dodge that bullet. And yeah, that's a key thing. Even though, sure, exchanges, centralized exchanges, do have a purpose to be a bridge between these realities of economics and crypto, the digital version of economics, energy and whatnot. But you don't have to add more risk than necessary. So that's a key thing actually to remember. So yeah, that's why it's so important to do your own research. And I know people often say like, yeah, just do your own research. I mean, I don't know about this, but I mean, do your own research, but I feel like it's cool. Right. But how do you even do that? And I think like that could be a future episode that I would like to dive more into, like what are certain things that you actually can look into. So to actually verify like what's usually good signs and what's usually bad signs. So you have an idea what to look for and what you're not to look for. In other words, to avoid. So yeah. But that will be in a later episodes until next time, we're going to talk about easy mode versus hard mode, and what's your default mode in crypto, in Web3 in general. And yeah, until next time, take care, and remember, for a limited time you can book a free call with a crypto therapist on calendly.com/JoyfulDanish. There will be a link in below, and it's a great way to see if we could be a fit, if I could maybe support you to improve your overall well-being, but maybe also give you a lot of tools that you maybe could use since you are in Web3. And again, if you have any feedback or questions that you would like me to take up in future episodes, just write to me, JoyfulDanish@gmail.com. There will also be a link below. And yeah, I think that's it. Stay human. Take care. And remember to actually enjoy life as well. Bye. Joyful Danish. Stay human. Is it even still possible to stay human? Maybe it's not too late.